Hey robot fans, welcome back to the build. In the last video we got the lights and sounds and BB-8's head working using this tiny custom fabbed PCB. These were set up in both a remote controlled mode and an autonomous mode, but today we're going to add one more mode to the mix, animation mode, which will add some cool animations to our soundboard. I made a few changes to BB-8 since the last time you saw him. First up was a technical glitch. If you remember from the end of the last video, I was getting some weird glitches and shutdowns happening when my batteries were fully charged and the volume was at its max. This was caused by some lazy board designed by me. I used traces of copper that were too thin and I didn't properly ground all of the pins on my voltage regulators to transfer the heat properly. I made a new board with much thicker traces for all the power components and I grounded everything as it should be. When the boards arrived, I transferred all the components over to the new board and presto, no more power glitches. While I was making new boards, I also updated the radar eye board to get rid of all those jumper wires I added. And finally, I changed the placement of all of this within the head. If we look at a section view of BB-8, my original mount placed the board and batteries high and off to the side. This makes the head way more unstable than it needs to be. In my defense, I did try to balance this weight by putting the transducer on the opposite side of everything, but that placement was also very high. In hopes of keeping the head from falling off when we get there, I moved the transducer down as far as I could and subbed out my vertical stack mount for a longer sled mount. This puts all the weight of the batteries over the center spindle where it's more secure and moves the board down. I think this is a much more balanced approach to the head layout. With all that squared away, we can move on to animation mode. I made this extra toggle on my remote control. This will toggle animation mode. In all the movies and cartoons, BB-8's lights don't animate at all, so this isn't canon. So I definitely wanted this feature to be optional and not a permanent part of the droid, hence the toggle. When the switch is on, the 5 manually triggered sounds will have a simple animation associated with them. Nothing over the top, just something that complements the sound being played. We have 5 triggerable sounds, but we will have 6 animations. The first of which will be a boot up animation. Nothing major, just a simple Knight Rider style animation of the radar lights when I start the droid. This animation is very near and dear to me. It was one of the first real ideas I had for BB-8 when I was building them the first time, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. Next we have the first sound. I broke this down into 3 sections. Section 1, Section 2, and Section 3. The first section sounds like typical chatter, so we'll just keep the PSI light animation here. I think Section 2 sounds like 3 separate sweeps. So I think borrowing 3 sweeps of that Knight Rider code would look pretty cool here. This last part sounds like an excited affirmative, like, hell yeah! So I'm just going to accentuate that by turning on the bottom logic lights here, which are usually off. Then the whole animation. That's it. Nice and subtle, but gives some life to the sound. I followed this basic idea for the next 4 sounds, just trying to find which individual section of the sound was unique and trying to come up with a simple animation that accentuates it. And there you have it. By flicking a simple switch, I can add nice, subtle animations to BB-8 sounds via animation mode. All powered by my mini custom board here. I think I'm finally happy to say that BB-8's head is done. Next up, we're going to give BB-8's body the same treatment. The next video should be a lot of fun. We are going to take all the panels off, fight off whatever creatures have made a little home in there over the past couple years, and rip out all of the electronics. It's going to be a droid bloodbath, so stay tuned for that. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you then.